The golf posture wrong all the time, but it should be really easy to get right. So I'm going to show you 3 things you can do to make sure you stand to the ball correctly. Why don't we just start with what bad posture is? The common mistakes we see in amateur golfers and high handicappers and beginners is a couple of things. So the first one is people standing too far away from the ball. And although it feels good that there's a lot of space here and a lot of room to swing, generally when you stand too far away, you're actually either off balance onto your toes, or you have to sit too much down into your heels, and neither of those positions are a strong place to hit from. The golf swing is an athletic motion. You need a good solid balance, good solid stance in order to generate any power. So if you're too far away and you're on your toes or on your heels, then you're going to struggle to do that. Another common fault we see is, certainly more in new players, a spine angle that's too arched and too rigid. Now, although this may look and feel athletic, actually when you create so much tension in your lower and mid back, it becomes really hard to turn, complete a full turn. And generally what will happen is that player will either injure themselves, or they will turn back and then come out of posture and struggle with their contact. So definitely don't want to be too arched. So if we start from down the line, in order to find the right posture, how I like people to start is just to stand up nice and straight away from the ball, then soften the knees slightly. Don't need loads of knee bend, because when we hit the ball we don't want any knee bend really. So soften the knees slightly, hinge from the hips a little bit, but really we should be reaching the ground by rounding our upper back, not hinging down. So when I hinge like that, I get a good stretch in my hamstrings. I'm unusually tight, but I think probably most of you are as well. So if you hinge, you put this sort of hamstrings on stretch, tightness in the lower back, and again it becomes too rigid. So soft knees and really just sort of like round that upper back. It should almost feel like old man posture, but actually we want to, when you do that, your lower back and your hamstrings and your legs stay really, really loose, which means we're able to freely turn back, make a big long swing, and then generate some speed. So soft knees, round the upper back, and then that's literally your goal posture. I'm on the hunt for 500 subs, so if you're watching this and somewhat enjoying it, you don't even have to be loving it. If you're somewhat enjoying it, please like and subscribe, it really helps. Now, in terms of finding the right distance away from the ball, what we like to really see is your arms hanging naturally. So from that rounded posture, my arms are just hanging here, and that's where the club should sit. A good way you can check this is by taking your grip, taking your right hand away, and then your right hand should sort of just swing in a straight line back to where it is on the grip. If I'm stood too far away, I take my right hand away, my right arm sort of swings inside the club. If I'm stood too close, I'm going to swing too far outside the club. So get into your posture, so what you can do is get into your posture with your left hand only for a right-handed player, and just stand in a position where your right arm just swings and sits on the club perfectly. And then basically that's nailed the first 2 things. We're in a good posture because we've rounded the upper back, not hinged our hips, and with the correct distance from the ball because our right arm is swinging in naturally onto the grip, not too far or too far away or too close to the ball. Third key thing you need to do to find your good golf posture, and this one's all about spine angle. So when we address, our trail hand is lower than our lead hand. So what that means is our right shoulder will tilt, or your trail shoulder will slightly lower itself into your address position. Now, how much your spine angles away from the target will sort of vary by what club you're using. So if I'm using a driver and the ball is up in my stance, I should have quite a significant amount of spine tilt away from the ball, because I'm trying to hit the ball more on the up. Where if I'm hitting a wedge shot and I've got the ball back in my stance, actually I don't really want any spine tilt, because I'm trying to hit down, I'm trying to launch it low. It sort of really does vary from shot to shot, and the way you want to check this, by grabbing your whichever club you're using. This drill works for hitting wedge shots or hitting drivers. But in fact, so we're in posture, we've rounded our back, we're the right distance away from the ball. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the club down my sort of sternum or down my zip, and I'm just going to tilt away from the target until the club touches my front leg, and that is perfect spine angle for that club. If I was hitting the driver and I was stood wide, I would have to tilt more for the club to hit my lead leg. If I was hitting a short wedge shot with a narrow stance, I wouldn't have to tilt very far in order for the club to hit my lead leg. So we always want to make sure that spine angle is a fluid thing throughout all the different shots you're going to play out on the course, but you just want to make sure when you're on the driving range, you just spend a bit of time when you're working up and down the clubs, practicing, you want to just check that you're in the right place for the right club. So just to run over those three things quickly, we've got rounding the upper back, soft knees to get us into like an old man posture, where we've got a loose back and loose legs. Standing close enough to the ball to where our right arm just hangs and swings into the grip naturally, and then we're just tilting, holding the club down our sternum and tilting away from the target until the club hits the lead leg, and that gets me into a perfect